Napa know-how.
The Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 500,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, I would say welcome to Sin's Chat Corner, except we're on a different format today. Hi, everybody. It's Friday. It's 11 o'clock my time, which is, God knows, the earliest I've ever done a show. So that should tell you that the guest today is extremely special, and he is very special on many accounts and many accords, I have to say. And I had the distinct pleasure of meeting him not so long ago in New York City, and I'm sure he didn't realize how completely blown away I was by his presence. And that's the sort of thing that happens quite often, as I'm told by his friends, his family, etc. And we'll get into that in just a moment. I don't want to keep him holding too long. I just want to throw a few things out there because, as you all know, when I do my show, I try to make my announcements very, very, very quick and remind everybody what they should be doing this weekend. First of all, my dear friends Jack and Jill are doing their home concert series this weekend in Racine, and that starts actually December 1st, which is today, goes through the entire weekend. Jack and Jill Jensen, it's jackandjilljazz.com. Go ahead and check them out. They're one of my dear, dear friends. I absolutely adore both of them, one of the best musicians in town, and yes, you should support them because they are that awesome. I don't want to forget to remind everybody a couple of quick things. If you are in Wisconsin and you're casting for my short film, Loves to a Mirror, yes, we're actually doing auditions and casting it in my home. Why? Because I'm a mom and I have kids and I can't leave them. So that's really the long and short of that. So I threw a Facebook note out there to the casting page, to the Facebook film page, and also on my personal page. So if you can make it, please let me know. Obviously, I'll try to make it short and sweet, and we'll have fun and food, and my kids will help cast. Won't that be awesome? So there's that. If you're in New York City, you already know that I'm coming either next week or the week after. Don't quote me. I guess a lot of it depends on what the doctor's about to tell me today. Ugh, yes, that's right. I have to go to the doctor again. Thanks so much to everybody for all of your thoughts and all of your prayers and your understanding and your patience. I know everything is taking me much longer, and it's not on purpose, but I just have to do what I have to do to take care of that. So I'm still casting for both. Send me your information. Email me, cin4251@gmail.com. Quick reminder that my film festival calendar, which Anthony Grasso is a part of, is coming out just in time for Christmas. So that is Art is Alive, the Magic of Indie Movies. That's the name of it. So look for that in the next week or so. So I'm super excited about that. And don't forget, if you haven't ordered my son's comic book, Sergeant Seizure and the Evil Dr. Cuckoo, well, you should order like 3,000 copies because that's about how many I need to fund this clinical research trial. So get off your butt and make sure that you take care of that. And again, I just want to remind everybody, thanks so much for your patience and cooperation. I realize that I've been off air most of the week, but lucky for all of you, I have 6 shows next week, and I'm thoroughly excited about that. So please do your best to tune into one or all if you could. I super appreciate all of your efforts. So without further ado, instead of listening to me talk, you can listen to Anthony talk because he has a much better voice than I do. So let's get him on the line and start talking. Sorry, Anthony, I had a lot to say. Hi. How are you?
I love it. I don't know if I have a better voice.
Well, you know, you have to do a lot of stuff in a short amount of time.
That's how you do this.
Well, it is a lot. I mean, I talk really fast. I have a lot I have to take care of. I'm casting the movie. I'm doing the calendar. I'm talking to you today, and that's so intimidating. You just scare the shit out of me. So this is kind of scary for me.
You know, it's so funny. When I first met you, you said that, and I was like, why am I scared? There's no reason to be scared.
Have you looked at yourself? Like, literally, do you ever look at yourself and what people say about you and the way you look and, you know, you walk in a room and everybody thinks you're special? Yeah, I don't have that. You have that. I don't have that. It's so cool. I'm like, yay. And you're the actor that everybody likes. Because sometimes when I have actors on, you know, it's not always like that. So everybody likes you, and that's exciting.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Great. Well, anytime. And I appreciate you, like, rearranging your schedule 75,000 times to accommodate mine and vice versa.
That's fine. You know, we're all busy. I've been crazy this week. It's my first
Oh, my God, right? Exactly.
It's like a
and just so you folks know, I started approaching Anthony about doing this interview, do we want to say 6 months ago? It was about that.
It was definitely 6 months ago, yeah. And
exactly.
Then I think you both forgot. And then you thought I blew you off. And I said, I didn't blow you off. I was like, I totally forgot at that point. And I'm so glad that we connected. And then we got to meet each other finally. And it was awesome. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
so I
you
just
betcha.
Want to say,
and so,
first off, you did a great job on the Artists Alive Festival, and thank you for having us.
Thank
you.
You.
Great.
Of course.
Yeah,
it was
I sound a little tired today, so
was.
forgive me.
Oh, that's okay.
Wiped
That's
to the gills. I had
fine,
4 classes this week, 63 students. Shoots. I had about 5 photo shoots, auditions,
right.
and still maintaining, waking up, getting up for my kids. So you know how it is. It's
I totally know.
Like
and I appreciate
6, 7. Yeah,
I
it's like
appreciate
6, 7 hats.
So we're going to bounce around a lot.
I'm going to ask.
Well, thank you. I'm going to ask a bunch of questions because a lot of the people that listen to my show are not, they haven't been in the business as long. They don't have the same kind of experiences. So I like to pick people's brains because you have a lot of experience and you're good at what you do. And your information is important. It's vital to others that are out there, whether they're veteran actors or newbies, et cetera. But the first thing is like super important because my kids are coming home and I creeped on your Facebook page and I know you saw Murder on the Orient Express. So tell me this. It's Murder on the Orient Express, it's the new Denzel movie, or it's the Justice League. So I'm trying to figure out which one to take these kids to. They're 10 and almost 13. So go. What do we think of the murder movie? Because you saw it, and I didn't.
No, not for 13-year-olds. It's not. I don't think it moves as fast as you think it would. It's definitely geared to an older audience. I mean, my daughter's 13.
Okay.
She kind of watched. She was with us and she liked it, but I don't think she loved it. What's the other two?
Okay, and the other 2 are Justice League, and of course, in Justice League I have a problem with because I'm not lying. I'm not too happy about Ben Affleck right now, so I'm kind of like all about I don't want to see Ben Affleck in Justice League, but they're kids, so they love Justice League. Or the new Denzel Washington movie,
totally take
or Wonder. Wonder's the other one.
Oh,
the Wonder is the little kid movie.
My daughter, read that book a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, in 5th grade, and she loved it. And so we're going to take her to see that. Yeah, she absolutely loved it. It's a beautiful story. I don't know the movie, how good it's going to, measure up. I think it's a great story. I mean, it's about empathy and not bullying because someone's different. I think the message is beautiful. So, yeah. The other one is going to be popcorn fun. Are they boys or girls or mixed?
They're both boys. Both boys.
Both boys. If they're open to Wonder and it's a good story, because it's a boy that has the face that's deformed, so I think that could be good. But maybe do a double feature.
Yeah, I thought about that. I'm like sneak into one and go into, because they were totally like, Mom, let's sneak into one or one. But my son's got a D&D party tonight until 8:00, so I'm like,
I would definitely. I would take them to both. Maybe not the same day, but I would definitely let them at least experience Wonder if they didn't read the book. Justice League, look, it's going to be awesome. They have a great soundtrack. There's like Led Zeppelin throughout. I mean, how could you go wrong?
I know.
Right?
I know. So, and Wonder Woman's in it.
I would say
I'm all about the Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and Wonder Woman rocked. I took my daughter to see that. Of course, I was more excited because I was like, don't you get it? It's like, women in power. And she's like, it's all right.
That's too funny.
I mean, she thinks it's normal. So, I guess, yeah. What's going on right now in the landscape of. Was that?
Oh, yeah, I get it. That pushes me to my next question, actually, because just so you folks know, his daughter is like the next Picasso. I'm so not lying about this. First of all, I saw her artwork for the first time, and I was totally like, she could totally design something for me, and I'm not joking about that.
Oh, you were so sweet to
we need
say
to talk
that.
about.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm being honest, and we need to talk about that because I think it's important to talk about you as a dad, because obviously you do all sorts of creative things. So was she prompted to start art on her own, or was that something that was more dad-inspired? Talk to me a bit about that.
Well, I started out as an artist first when I was a very young kid, and I got recognized quickly, and then I majored in fine art, and I graduated from School of Visual Arts. While I was in college, actually when about 15, was when I discovered I really wanted to act, but I didn't have the know-how. And then I thought, well, I have this talent, so let me just pursue this, And when I went to college, I found a voice, and I went to Europe with some friends, and I met some actors, and they kind of guided me, and I came back, and I took class, and then, the rest is history, as they say. With my daughter, and my wife's side has a lot of artists in her family, so I think it's in the genes, and when she was a very young girl, she always had this incredible skill set, and I thought, wow, I think she's going to be an artist, and sure enough, by the time she was like 6 or 7, I framed her first picture, and it's brilliant. It looks like a little Picasso. I was like, holy cow. And then she started going to this program at the museum that's near our house. And she would go every summer, and she would come out, no lie, Cindy, she'd come out with like 7, 8 pieces that were just insane. And she's been doing that for the last several years. So she's pretty active in the arts, and then also in the performing arts. So she's kind of like following mom and dad.
That's
no
so
doubt.
sweet.
So
oh my God.
we fostered it, yeah. I guess that's
that's
your
so
question.
Cool. Yes, it is. And actually, I have to ask because she's at that age, because my son's at that age. So are the boys knocking? Because I'm afraid that if they do knock, Anthony would be at the door and like, yeah, no, don't even go near my
No, they're not.
I can see that little.
Yet, thankfully. No, they're not knocking
really
yet. A lot of her friends are, sort of dating. And my daughter is, she's kind of a big goofball, and she's, she has crushes, I think, but she doesn't talk to me about it. She talks to her mom.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. I'm
but
like,
what
okay.
What I hear, yeah. But she doesn't have any. No, she's never dated, thankfully, and nor do I want her to.
Well, obviously, none of us want them to. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Now, since we're on the family thing, we have to talk about Diane. I am one of the things that I do as a journalist is I make sure that I reach out to your friends and your family, and I go behind your back purposely because I want to know what people have to say about you. So this is what I can tell you, folks, right off the bat. I am hard-pressed to find in this industry many couples that are this happy. They're so very adoring of one another. And when I say adoring it, the first day I met Anthony when he was at the festival, people are talking to him about making plans, and it's always, nope, my daughter has this. Nope, my wife wants this. Nope, I said I was going to do this. So family is very first and foremost in there, which is wonderful. I will tell you that your wife beamed about you and said some absolutely amazing things about you
nice to know.
that I can read in this interview at some point, which is so sweet. And she's so beautiful, I can't stand it. I love her, but like totally not loving her because she's so pretty and thin, and I'm not, and it kind of sucks, but I'm okay with that. So we should talk about, we talk about this a lot.
So there you go.
She can lose 4 weeks. I think
and
that
I'll tell you, that you
well, definitely. Well, she said she was going to listen, so obviously she can hear what I have to say myself, obviously. But what I want to know is this. Oftentimes, professionals in the creative industry, sometimes they have really wonderful, very sweet, supportive partners, and sometimes they just struggle with that. And so I'm curious to ask how she adds to you as a person and as a professional. What does she bring to the table for you?
Well, to be quite honest, when we met, we were both in the business. And then when we got married, she was still in it. And then she started working for someone as a personal assistant that kind of took her a little bit away. And then when we had my daughter, she said, I'm really not digging this validation thing that actors need because you got to get hired, right? So she didn't like that feeling. So she said, I'm just going to chill for a while. And while she did that, she kind of gave me a big opportunity to open up a studio. At the time, I opened up an acting studio, which was for us, but I was running it with a business partner of mine, and so she really held the fort for a few years while building that by her having the job. So that's how she contributed right off the top. And then she's my best friend, and she's my best critic. And sometimes I yell at her for not giving me more feedback, but because I'm so like I want to hear details, and she'll be like, "But you know how I feel about it." I'm like, "No, but you got to tell me." But other than that, she's ideally like my best partner. She is my partner. Yeah. And we like to see things. We go see theater together, so we really connect on always that level. And she's my biggest fan, I would imagine. And she lets me like fly. Like if I gotta go to a film fest without her, usually I try to bring her. Sometimes it's not always possible because of the daughter, but. Yeah, she's very supportive in that sense, and I'm going to be really supportive in return because she's returning. I don't know if you saw my post today, but she's coming back.
Yeah, I did.
The last day was yesterday, and I am so excited. She's taking my acting class, and she's going to get herself right back in there. And it's funny. She's more seasoned than she's ever been. She looks better. She's older, wiser. Yeah. even though a lot of people say it's very ageist in this business, I think there's a lot to come. There's a lot to say at a certain age for anyone, especially a female. If they're good and they sustain, the competition drops. So, she's not going up against 22-year-olds anymore. You know what I mean? So that could be a good thing.
Oh, sure. I get it. Totally.
And now she's a mom. Yeah, now she's a mom, like a soccer mom / almost empty nester, even though she looks younger than that. But believe it or not, I have friends, Cindy, that have kids in college. I'm like, really? I don't feel that old, but it's just timeline. If you get kids early in life, they're out earlier.
Right. No, I get it. I do. But, I totally get it.
Yeah. But she's excited. I think she's looking forward. Mm-hmm.
Oh, without a doubt, actually. And if she was interested, I might have a part for her in my movie. Because I was thinking about that the other day, and I was looking at her, and then I'm like, I wonder if Anthony's going to get irritated about that, because, you're a bigger deal than I. I'm just a little
not at all. Trying to do a film. Would jump at the opportunity. Sure.
That's awesome. We'll have to talk about that. Yeah. Okay. So here's an idea for you, because obviously I'm always thinking all the time, and I know that you and I share some of the same interests. I didn't realize that you were a fan of both The Newsroom and Mad Men, and so I wanted to ask you this question, because I could totally see you. I don't think you've ever played a Donald Draper part, but for some reason I could totally see you playing some version of Donald Draper. Is that way far from your personality? Because I could totally see that. I mean, I know he's kind of sleazy, etc., but he's good looking and he's classy and he can walk into a room and he could sell you toilet paper, basically. And I'm like, Anthony could totally walk into a room and convince me that I need to buy pickles.
I never
know what I'm
of
saying?
That. I mean, when I watched the show, I actually never thought myself as a Donald Draper type.
Really?
But now I see what you're saying. Only because, he was such a classic, handsome man,
Right.
And
right.
I don't look at myself like that. I'm not. I think I'm more charactery. But I think there's a couple of components that I can say, I can play that role or a role like that, because I just recently played something a little similar in Kill Al, that sci-fi thriller that I posted a few clips from.
Right.
It's kind of a high-powered CEO, and then he is dark. I love duality in character, and when I teach, one of the things I always talk about in anything, especially Mad Men, I bring it up all the time. You never know who that person is for real, because what you see is not always what you really get. And what I love about that is, Donald Draper was very very charismatic, and he looked like he would stick up for a female, and then he would violate a female, in the next scene, or he would, cheat on his wife in the following scene, and then he'd show up at the kids. But there was all this duality going on, and it just wasn't his character. It was all the characters, which was brilliant.
Right.
I thought that was
really
brilliant.
See? So there you go.
For me, that's what I look for in my work, how I teach. I say we have to look for that. Alfred Hitchcock, one of my favorite directors, he would always look for that. People have a dark side because I think it's real. I think it's real. And then Newsroom, Aaron Sorkin. I just had a scene last night in my class from his Newsroom scene, and I talk about it all the time. I said he's probably the only writer that would make me shit in my pants. I mean, not to get graphic, but. I would literally, because he's so good, and I know what I would have to prepare to audition for someone like that, because you cannot wing any of his writing. You have to know that writing in and out, because it moves like lightning, and there's a musicality to it, and there's a rhythm to it. You really have to. It's almost like learning a song. You can't just wing it,
Well,
so he would excite me and probably make me the most nervous, oddly enough. But so that's funny that you picked those two pieces.
Well,
did
that's
I tell you
because
that
I always look for things.
Oh, okay.
No, I just creeped on. I try to dig and get research and get information that most people wouldn't get. And the only reason I bring up things like this is because I'm smart. And I think to myself, where would this guy look good in? And so I try to just plant little ideas. Deborah Markowitz taught me this. This is this empath thing. She's like, these things come to you and you just need to tell someone. So I was thinking this morning to myself, I need to tell him that he needs to either put a movie together or have one of his friends put a movie together where he can be a Donald Draper. Not as slimy necessarily, but like I said, you walk in a room and you sell people instantaneously. It's that charm you have. And you're far more appealing, I think, physically than you are aware of. And I'm certain of it. I mean, absolutely, without a doubt. Because, folks, Legit, which is the film that showed at Artists Alive, in my festival, Artists Alive, he's not a nice guy. He's a slime ball, basically. I mean, sorry, I love you. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, Terry's not a nice guy. Terry is all about himself and his needs and broke the girl's heart. And I'm just like, you're kind of a jerk, And this was my first introduction to you. I mean, the first time I saw him, I saw him in Legit, and I thought to myself, you know what? I kind of dig this guy. I don't want to like him, but I do. You know what I mean? You have that ability.
Okay.
You totally can convince me that you could probably want to kill me and cut me into pieces, but I like you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's funny you say
Do
that.
The Donald Draper.
Hannibal Lecter is one of my other favorite characters because it's that same thing. It's like that person can kill you, but you want to hang with them. So I love that. So thank you.
Right?
No,
right?
one of the things that I try to do, one of the things I really always try to do, no matter what kind of role I play, especially if it's a kind of sinister role, you have to find a human quality in there so somebody could at least drop in. Because if it's two-dimensional, then people just go, he's an asshole, or he's this or that. It's okay I say that on this. You know what I mean? So for me, that's a huge compliment when anyone picks that up, that they say, you played a bit of a boob, but I was really interested in hanging with you. That's cool.
Of course.
Then I'm doing my job. But I love that.
And that's
Donald Draper's that made him a star. I mean, are you kidding? I would love something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's my point.
Now my wife has a huge crush on him.
Look into
I know why. I'm going to tell her now I know why you have a crush on him.
There's that Anthony hashtag. I'm doing the Donald Draper thing. He needs to find a Donald Draper.
Yes.
Find a Donald Draper. I'm telling you would be great.
I'm gonna, as a friend of mine calls it, bhavana that. I'm gonna put it out there and manifest that. Absolutely,
see? It's true.
No,
it's
funny. I think John Hamm though is so a different kind of look than me. So I never even connected. So thank you for even just bringing that to my attention.
Well,
I look
it's
at John
my job
Hamm
as a film
the
judge.
ultimate Rod Hudson. Well, cool. Don't you think he's like a rock Hudson every day? I mean,
he's without a doubt. He has a very charismatic sort of. I don't know. I've seen him in other roles. I like Donald Draper because it suits him, but I also like him in a very dramatic, very not do. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm not going to lie to you, John Hamm. If you're listening right now, I would totally go on a date with you because I'm pretty sure he's single this month. So I totally would go out with you, anywhere.
Yeah. My wife likes him better when he was Donald Draper. Whenever she sees him when he's not Donald Draper, she goes, "Yeah, he's still good, but there's something about that role."
There's something about that damn Donald Draper. I don't know what it is, but he's okay.
Because
all right, enough about Donald Draper. We're talking about Anthony.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. Screw that.
I want to ask about two things that you oftentimes actors can do dialects. And what I thought was so cool is, number one, you're stupid. I tried to act once and I got drunk and I couldn't act and I'm never doing it again. So I love the fact that you can act well. So talk to me about this because I want to know what it means to be able to do. He's got Yiddish and Cockney listed. I don't even know what that is. Okay, first of all, I don't know what that means. I don't even know how you talk like that. And I want to know if it's useful at all. Do you even use that?
Well,
seriously.
Here's why I put Yiddish. Can I just tell you why I have Yiddish?
Sure.
I was raised in Brooklyn, New York, in a two-family house. Now, I'm Italian-American, full on. And the people who lived on the first floor of the two-family house were Jewish. So they became like another family to me. So I called them aunt and uncle, and those are my cousins. And we would celebrate every holiday with them, and they would celebrate my holiday with us. So I got to be Jewish and Italian, or Jewish and Catholic, growing up. So I picked up a lot of Yiddish. And when I was in second grade, I was getting yelled at a teacher for not talking. I was actually trying to tell the person to stop because it was late. And anyway, I think I said something to them and she scolded me. And I used to pick up the chairs at the end as an extracurricular thing, right? So she said, just for that, Anthony, you're not going to pick up the chairs today. And I looked over and I said, well, you could pick up your own Fakaktin chairs. And that's Yiddish. Fakaktin means friggin'. So I didn't even know I said it. I was how old were you in second grade? Like 8? And she got a big kick out of it, called my mother, and she said, do you know your son knows Yiddish? And it was very off-putting, funny, but yet I didn't expect it from an 8-year-old, whatever you want. So I'll never forget that. So I always have these little Yiddish terms that I just picked up along the way. So, yeah, that's how I got Yiddish on there. Now, Cockney is easier because, if you're doing a standard British accent, then it's very, very posh, and it sounds like that. And then if you're doing Cockney, it goes down, and it sounds a little bit like a Brooklyn guy who lives in England, and then and then they're on the other side of London, and they'll have this little colloquialism. So it definitely has a different flair. Like if I'm from New York and then I'm from Brooklyn, they'll say New York, no R, And it's the same idea. So that's Cockney. Cockney is like Liverpudlian, where like the Beatles. The Beatles, they wouldn't say the T and things like that. I'm not a great person with accents, to be quite honest. I can do them if I'm taught. Like if I'm going in for a role, I would probably hire an accent coach so that I can really, really master it. And, just pulling it out of my hat is a little harder, except for certain ones like Yiddish and the others. But did I answer your question?
It sure does, as a matter of fact. That's kind of cool, though. I like that. Now, I have to ask you a question.
I tell people.
I promised my son, my 13-year-old, almost 13-year-old son in a couple weeks, that I would ask this question because I told him the other day I didn't know. I said a general question, which was I'm interviewing a great actor, and I said he does all sorts of things. I said, what would you ask him if you were me? And this is a good question. He said, well, is he married? And I said, yes. And he said, ask him this. He's like, if he has to kiss another girl, how weird is that for him and his wife? That's a good question. I've never asked an actor that. So how weird is that?
That's a good question. Well, recently I've been in a couple of things where I had a, kiss. There's a movie I just did called Swipe Right. I don't know if you saw that. Right. It's been in 7 festivals and has won many, many awards. And it's an ensemble piece. So I play this guy who's on a date, those dating sites. And it's really about this female, middle-aged woman looking for love, and she's going on these dating sites. And then we have this debacle sexual encounter. It's hysterical. So, of course, I had to kiss her. We had to kind of get half naked, if you will. And I just said to her, and I even said to her, one of the conditions is it has to be really funny. And I can't have any frontal because I have a 13-year-old and her friends Google me. And I can't have that unless it's a major motion picture, and I can deal with that. So she laughed, and she said, okay. So my wife, when she first watched it, I always show her first before she goes to a screening. I'll say, here, this is what's happening. And so that's how that worked out. And then I just did Kill Al, where I have to kiss this woman. It's not very, sexy because it's kind of like an assault, more or less. But my wife watched that. She goes, nice. really, really
I can imagine.
Nice guy, But it's acting, and she knows that.
Right.
But I think I might feel a little weird. I don't know. I haven't been in that position yet when my wife was kissing another man or if she's topless or something like that. I don't know. I guess we always cross that moment when it comes. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. No, I get you. And like you brought up a great point because you have a child that obviously watches you. I have a child that watches me, and I get, people that come and say, oh, do you want to do a certain kind of modeling, et cetera. So I guess that's my other question is, now, does your daughter ever watch your work? And so is she ever like, well, Dad, hey, why are you doing this or this, Well,
I'm very selective what I show her.
Okay.
Because she's in a weird period, right, with me now. Like, she loves me and all that, but she'll say I'm weird.
Right.
She thinks I'm weird.
Oh, sure.
She thinks, because all of a sudden I'm a man now, and I'm not just her dad.
Right.
And she thinks I'm annoying. So I did want her to see Swipe Right, but then I was like, there's so much content outside of the kissing and the getting down and all that. There's a lot of curse words and funny words situations that I don't really want her to see. So I didn't have her see that. And believe me, I wanted to. It was a big festival, like the Big Apple Fest in New York, and it had, you know, packed house, and it was in a theater. You know, like I took her to my one festival where I didn't kiss anybody, thankfully, and she got to see me in a theater, a real, like, you know, movie theater. So she got very excited when on my face. So that was exciting.
So cool. That's cool.
Always cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I mean,
so
I gotta
if
say,
you were to give advice,
from all the times I'm sorry?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, from all the times that I've seen films of mine screen elsewhere, like in, you know, theaters and whatnot, to have my daughter to see it, that was pretty cool. Just because I think, you know, it not validates that she knows what I do, you know, like what Daddy does, but she got to see that, you can do that, and she's actually in a pilot with me. I don't know if you know that.
Oh.
Did I send you my sheet of all the little recent things? Did you ever get that?
Yeah, I saw most of them, but for some reason that isn't sounding like it rings a bell to me. I don't know why.
Yeah,
it's because I have a list of this that we'll go through, but go ahead.
Right. Yeah, we shot A Beautiful Distraction about a year ago, and came to the reading. And she came to the reading, right? And when I got cast, she immediately loved the role of the daughter. And she's funny, so she kind of like butted up against the casting director, Donna McKenna, and just point blank said, "I really like that role," and I didn't understand. I didn't prompt her. It was one of those like, "Huh, that's my kid." Like, wow, I'm impressed because that took a lot of gall, you know. And she just fell in love with her, and we all went out for drinks. And anyway, by the end of the night, she said, "Why don't you put her on tape for her best friend?" And I said, "Sure," because the role was already taken. So I put her on for the best friend, and she booked it. So we shot that last September, and we're going back in January to do episode 2 and 3. And they have some nice names attached to it. I'm really excited about that. So it's A Beautiful Distraction. I play an alcoholic husband who sold his soul, sort of like a devil's advocate, to the devil without realizing, to get off a client. And with that client is a mass serial killer. So he's killing people, and he's becoming increasingly worse because he's filled with, you know, racked with guilt, and so he's very dysfunctional, and he's also having an affair with his secretary. So it's an interesting role. He's like really messy and kind of, you know, it just gave me a lot of freedom to just be crazy, and it's fun. Just a lot of fun. And my daughter gets to play in this film, and I got to be on set with her. It was really, really exciting. So she's kind of digging it. You know, I think she might want to do this. I don't know. I'm not pushing it, to be honest.
Of course.
And she wants to, I'll support her in it. But I think I would much prefer if she wanted to be a doctor.
Oh, my God. I've heard that somewhere before.
Well, it's a tough lot. I know. It's like the typical cliche, you know, parents want you to be a doctor. But, you know, she's got a lot of talents in so many things, and she's incredibly smart. So, sorry.
This is like talking to a dad right now. It's so cute, and you are a dad. But, I mean, he totally is not an actor right now. He's just totally a gushing dad. It's so cute, isn't it?
I am a gushing dad.
Who doesn't want to cast this guy,
terrific.
Right? Seriously?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, on to the next
really
7,000 things are good at.
Funny.
Yes, she is. And I've seen her picture, so I can say that. Now, I know that in your background, you studied at the Actors Studio as well as the British Academy of Dramatic Arts. So I want to talk about the latter because I found that interesting. British Academy of Dramatic Arts. How do you find yourself going to a place like that? Because as you mentioned, you're from, you know, a New Yorker.
Great question.
And going there. How did you end up there?
Well, I'll tell you what happened.
Why?
I had a pretty unorthodox career at first. You know, I started studying at the neighborhood playhouse, and then I studied outside of there, and then I went to the Actors Studio. So I had like method in mind. And these are techniques that was learned, but I never felt like I had the classics. And I was approaching 30, and I said, I probably should know this, right? I mean, these are like, this is great literature. So I started taking a class in Manhattan, and I fell in love with it. And I booked a commercial, and I made some money, and I said to someone, I'd really love to study abroad, Shakespeare, you know, the classics. Sure. And I saw an ad in the paper for a summer program. You had to audition at Juilliard, and I applied, and I got in. And not only did I get in, they gave me they called it the presidential group, which was like the older, more seasoned actors, I guess. I didn't even expect that, because even though I was seasoned in that respect, I had worked on TV and did some film work, I didn't feel I was seasoned at all, So I went there and I studied there, and it changed my life. It really changed my life, and I'll tell you why. I tell this all the time to my students. When you learn a technique, a lot of it is being very visceral, and you feel and you're fooling your body to react a certain way, right? Because you use your imagination. But with the way the Brits work, they work strictly first through the language. So a word can trigger things inside of you. Like if I say the word love, just a vowel in itself, and the way it feels inside your solar, plexus and your heart chakra, all of a sudden you start to feel the in that word. And if I'm pissed off, I'll say piss. I don't want to use the F word, but you get the in it, and that gives you everything you need. So when I was there, I was using all my emotional work, my prep work, and this one teacher named Estelle Collier, she was wonderful. She would say, "Oh, Anthony," she said, "just do it our way. It came all this way. Just forget about all that." And I was like, "But I don't understand." It's because you got to trust it. So I started to just strictly let the language guide me. And all of a sudden I went, oh, my God. So it's not this difficult. And you allow that to almost become your preparation, if you will. And it worked. And when I came back, I was so excited about this, this way of working, that I started teaching.
Okay.
And it was amazing.
Oh, I believe that. And that's such a great background for learning.
Yeah. It changed, and it actually made my work more specific. It helps me look at a script now, like you as a writer, Cindy. I would look at your script and be like, why did the writer put that there? Why did she structure it that way? Mm-hmm. So we become almost like a clue sleuth. I have to go in there and look for the clues that the writer gives you. And, even though they do talk about that here, I don't want to make it seem like American acting, doesn't. But the way the Brits work, it's really letting Shakespeare knew this. He was an actor, and he wrote for actors. He would give you words that would make you feel something when you said them. And the minute you did that, you surrender to the writer. So the writer's always first, and that is what changed my life. And I study currently, whenever he's in town, I'll pop in and audit Larry Moss's class, who's a brilliant teacher, and he always talks about the same thing. You honor the writer. You have to tell the story. We are storytellers, right? We are the conduit from the writer. So I always say, you have a job. You have a job to tell that story. So you better look at the writing. Very important. A lot of people don't.
Amen
to that
people
one. Forget about that. Yeah.
I have two questions relative to education.
Yes.
First off, the most important one that I want to ask is, in having all of that background in terms of educationally, what elements in your own educational background did you take to put into your own classes? And then second of all, I'm just curious if you ever took Johnny Gallagher's class, because actors rave about his class, and I'm not an actor, so I can't ever take it.
Well, funny enough, I know Johnny, right? Johnny Gallagher.
Right.
Years ago, I directed a play, and I also was starring in a play and producing 3 one-acts by Brian Goluboff, who's actually a big writer right now. And one of his plays, we needed a director, and he was brought in. So that's how I know John. We didn't really get to work side by side, but we were in the same evening. So that was a nice experience. And we recently ran into each other at the Cutting Room in Manhattan. They were honoring something with this theater company that I was involved with. And so we had a big, hey, how you been? And he just looked, just so great. I was happy he was healthy and he was feeling much better. He almost died, poor guy. He was in a fire. So, for him, just I'm sure, like his life just opened up after that. And he, so it was just great to reconnect. And so I never actually did take a class. He taught also at a school that I taught at, oddly enough. So it was funny. It's like we just never really had the side-by-side in a project as of yet. Hopefully one day, though. You know, he's still directing, so I'm hoping to hopefully get to it.
Yes, he is.
But I'll tell you a little something about the Actor Studio to make you laugh. Now, back in the 90s, I lived in Hell's Kitchen, and I lived right around the block from the Actor Studio. Literally, like, with the same address, only different street. We were 45th and 44th.
Okay.
And I started to be an intern, and the way I got to be an intern there was two ways, actually. One person knew somebody, of course, always is that way, right? You make a phone call, and they get you in. But another way was I kept running into Paul Newman, oddly enough, every time I was working on Broadway in the front of the house. And he would always come in with his wife and Joanna Woodward. And every time I would see him, I'm like, I'd love to just grab him and talk to him about the studio, because at the time he was the president.
Right.
So one day I was working, and he walked by me. And I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Newman." He went, "I'm sorry, I don't give out autographs." I said, "No, I don't want your autograph." I said, "I just want 2 minutes of your time." And he went, "Oh," and he stopped, and he said, "What do you want to know?" I said, "Can I?" So I grabbed him over. We went over to the other side. I was like, "I really want to become a member of the Actor Studio, and how do I do that?" He said, "Okay, you're gonna make a phone call. You're gonna tell him I told you," and that's how I got it.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
And he was the only actor. He was the only actor I kept running into. Like, it was almost like a sign, and something inside me said, "You better jump on it." And so I did. So I get there. Of course, they have me cleaning the stage. And my first time sweeping the stage, I literally had tears in my eyes, because I was like, "Marlon Brando was here, Pacino." And I was such a young actor.
That is cool.
So funny.
Oh my
so
God.
funny. Like today, I wouldn't do that, but then it was like I felt like I arrived or something. It's like the angels were singing. It was hilarious.
That is awesome. It is.
Now, yeah, it was pretty cool, and I met some great friends there.
Oh, I bet. Now, are some of the principles that you learned from there, are they brought directly into your own acting and coaching, etc.?
Totally, yeah. I quote so many things, and I bring in a lot of the exercises that we've done there, a lot of my Meisner training. Sandy Meisner, I don't know if you know that name, but he broke away from Lee Strasberg, and they all went in their own ways. Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, and Sandy Meisner, and Harold Clurman. Okay. It was the whole actors group, and it was like the group theater. So they had their thing, and then they dispersed. They all went and called pink under another color, if you will. It's a rose is a rose, but another color. So they all had their own little way into the process, and I like to call it process. I process. I don't necessarily call myself a method actor or a Meisner actor. I use process. I use whatever works. So Meisner, what I like about it is I bring a lot of that is listening. It really trains your ear to listen impeccably.
Sure.
To be a good actor, you have to be a really good listener, because most of the time, if you're on film, they're cutting to reaction and not just you speaking. So sure. I find that between you and me, that to me is like the number one, technique that I think is most useful. Now, method is working a lot to do with the outside in, meaning how do I change my walk? How do I change my physicality? How do I change the look in my eye? Like, if you will, like the soul, how does that transform? And then you work on ways to do that. So it's like so for me, when I tell my students this, I go, Meisner is like the foundation. It's like the bottom of building a building. And then all the good stuff, all the pretty trimmings and the facade and all that around it, I say that's like the technique. That's like, to me, method, because then you can make it look good and really deep and go in deep, to the psychological aspect of things. So I just love that, how they coincide, and I bring that. So I have always labeled my teaching as method to Meisner, or Meisner to method. I think method to Meisner sounds better, yeah. And then, of course, Stella Adler did also work hand in hand with a lot of the fundamentals of what I was saying earlier about the British actors, how they use language. So she became very involved with language. And it was the only person really at that time talking about it. So her school is primarily about script analysis and really looking for the clues and all that. So it's like a nice kind of mishmash, if you will, of hodgepodge, I like to say, of techniques that I play. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's one way. You know, each actor comes in. And also what I discovered, and you'll see this in a lot of good actors, especially people we love, working and you know, well-known, I should say, a lot of them really use themselves. I mean, you have to really know who you are to eventually let that be revealed. And once that's revealed, for me, you start from there. And then I'll take Anthony Grasso, I'll take that person that I know, and I'll put it in that scenario. So now things can change based on what the story is leading me to do. So that's how I work. And so I always tell my students, you know, you honor yourself, always. I think Meryl Streep has a brilliant quote out there. She has a quote, Meryl, about, you know, I find what's fundamentally different in my character, and then I go to, you know, where we are the same, and I work from there. Because, like I said earlier, there's always like a duality, as I was saying to people. So if you're playing a murderer, if you're playing a killer, if you're playing a comedian or whatever, you know, you still start with you, and then you kind of then go and see, oh, okay, that's not something I know, so I'm going to learn about that. Like if I had to play a horseman, I don't know how to ride a horse. I would go and study how to ride a horse. And then by the time we shoot, I'm going to be looking like I've been doing that all my life. So that's part of the skills, you know, and that's the joy being an actor, I think, is that we get to walk in other people's shoes, and we get to experience so many different, you know, views from other people's point of view. That's one of the reasons why I love acting so much. And I think
and I have to ask.
I like this.
I seriously have to ask this question because I'm curious, because now I've watched you in different things, and most people don't have the benefit of that because maybe they're just finding out who you are today. So I wanted to ask a question because other actors talk to me a lot about how important it is to be naked on camera, and I don't mean in the literal sense, meaning shedding all of that vulnerability. And my question is how often are you completely naked? Because some people believe that that's the foundation of a brilliant actor, someone who allows themselves to be seen 150% every time they're on camera.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that completely. That's a very, very good statement. This last film I just did, Kill Al, we had I don't know if you saw the clip. Did you see that clip when I'm talking to
I believe I did.
Femtel robots? That was interesting because I had to kind of allow myself to go somewhere where I normally wouldn't go and be okay with that camera picking me up. And at one point, I don't even remember what I was doing. And the camera was there, and I don't remember. You know what I mean? It was like I got I felt emotionally naked, where I didn't know what was going to happen. And that's always, for me, like a good place to say, I think that might have worked because I didn't feel like I held anything back. You never really know how it's going to come out ultimately because it's not your medium, it's the director's, but at least you know that if I supplied that, then I'm thrilled. You know what I mean? Then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I do.
I completely let go. And so, yeah, there's a letting go and there's a complete opening. I do an exercise in my class where I'll just have the camera on you for about 5 minutes without you speaking.
Okay. And
I'll say, just I want you to think and just relax and let the camera pick you up. There's a power in it and a stillness in it. And it's very hard for people to want to do that because I think this is, you know, as an actor, as a theater actor, I'm a theater actor first. You know, your obligation as a theater actor is to extend outside the stage so that people can hear you, they can see what you're doing. And in film, it's the complete antithesis of that because you have to kind of go, all right, now I don't have to do a thing. Maybe my eye, maybe a flutter or an eye movement is going to give them the information that I would need to make a bigger movement on stage. So I always say it's like, if you're on stage, it's like a ray of light coming from your center. And then if you're in film, it's almost like you become a laser beam of light so that you go right to something very, very specific and very intimate. So it's a very intimate medium. I love it. I absolutely love film.
And I have to mention this because most people don't know this.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the photography thing. So it was ironic because when I first researched you, I was like, what is this guy doing? Why is he like doing photography? And now it makes sense to me because I would imagine that you, being an actor, have helped specifically to be able to capture the essence of a person behind the lens of a camera. Do one go hand in hand with the other, do you think? Do you think you are a better photographer?
Well, it's also because I was a portrait artist, remember?
Oh, right.
Right, yeah, because when I was a portrait artist, I had an ability I can draw you. I can do a drawing of you and it'll look like you. I always had that. And when I was in college, I thought I was going to be a fine artist. And there's not much money in that. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe not. Maybe I'll go into advertising. And I hated it. And funny enough, I would have been a Don Draper had I went that route. An alcoholic. No, I'm kidding. But but when I was actually taking photos of my daughter when she was born, and digital camera just became really popular back then, people kept saying, wow, you got an eye for this shit. And I was like, well, I do have a training, from back in the day. I said, so maybe. And they were like, no, you should look into this. And I had the studio, I had everything there, I had the client. So I just put it out one day and said, all right, I'm going to put together a portfolio and see what happens. And honestly, I didn't pursue this. It kind of happened, weirdly, oddly enough. I became kind of known. And then I think being an actor and a director sometimes, I do direct films too. And I know how to speak with actors as a teacher, so I something definitely connected. And I said, wow, this is interesting. These are all connected. They're all the same. When I'm the conduit, I'm in front. And when I'm on the other side of it, now I'm kind of guiding. So it's all the same. Right. We're all in the same place. And then I have a lot of information about the business. And I'm very critical. My eye is very critical. So I can see a good shot. Even if somebody's shot with another photographer, I'll be like, wow, that's amazing. Or I'll be like, that didn't really capture you. And here's how I like to capture people as a photographer. I have to hear them in the photo. You have to hear them. You have to almost sense what they would sound like. And sometimes people, they don't necessarily always grab that. They'll make you look good. And that's fine. That's a good picture, but that's not necessarily a portrait of you. I just did a wonderful portrait of this elderly gentleman who is actually a director, a Hollywood director. I didn't even know this. And he was telling me while I'm in the middle of the shoot, Anthony, he's from, the UK. And he goes, I'm also, a director. And I said, yeah, you mentioned. And I said, would I know anything? I felt like an idiot. And he said, well, he said, did you not research me? And normally I would have. But I was so busy that week, I didn't even have a chance. So I said, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I said, I didn't even get a moment. I said, so would I know? And he goes, yeah, maybe. My cousin Vinny. And I just almost dropped my camera. I was like, what? I was like, that's one of my favorite films. So we just connected and clicked, and I ended up getting beautiful pictures of him. And you should see them. I posted it a few days ago, but I
did. I saw that post, as a matter of fact, on Instagram. Yeah. I saw it. And so I was like, oh, my God, how cool. So I have to ask you, how much time... The photography thing, because you're acting and coaching and doing all the stuff you do. So give us a breakdown in terms of how much time do you have to devote to the photography side of things, and more importantly, we should toot your own horn on that. So if somebody's listening in and they need portraits done, et cetera, tell them what they can get from Mr. Grasso.
It's very funny because I tend to battle a little bit with how much emphasis I want to put into three, because I'm like split into three, right? Even my website's like three websites. It's an actor, teacher, photographer, and my classes lately have just blew up. I don't know. I think like someone said, the secret's out. People want to study with you. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, I have now around 63 students, 4 classes. These are private classes. Yeah, these are private. So I just added a new one. So now I have 4 classes, which is enormous because I have to pull every week over 50 scenes. So it's a lot of work.
Oh, my God.
Outside of class.
Sure.
So the photography usually takes a back burner, so I try to keep 2 days where I can do multiple shoots.
Okay.
And for good reason, because it's on location. I don't want to go to that location every day. So if I can schedule from 11 to 5, I can at least shoot 2 to 3 people within that time frame.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of manage it. But tomorrow I'm shooting a young kid because he lives in Jersey. I live in Jersey. And he goes to school, so he can't shoot during the week while it's good light because I shoot with daylight. So I'm going to shoot him tomorrow. So I'll make an exception every now and then, but I try not to because my weekends are sacred. They're like, that's for my family. And some mornings on Saturdays I spend working in my office. And then I stop at a certain time and then I'm done. And then I'm like, I'm not looking at, emails and none of that. Of course. We're going to go have, a nice day or whatever. And then Wednesday, and then Sunday is really sacred. We just got back to going to church with my daughter just so that she could kind of get prepared for confirmation. And, we're trying to keep her involved in, service. Okay. We get her involved in the soup kitchens and things like that. So I try to keep my family balanced. A friend of mine drew a circle for me once, and she said, I want you to draw a pie. And, where's your acting? Where's this? Where's that? So my acting is my number one priority. And that takes preference over everything, always. Second, I would say it's my teaching because that's like my lifeline. I swear, if I'm not acting, but I'm teaching, I don't get upset. I don't get where a lot of actors, we go through this withdrawal and we start to feel doubtful. And luckily for me, I get to get that creative eye out,
Sure.
So that's like my lifeline. And then photography, I just love doing it. I love meeting actors. I love to see what I can capture from them. That I love. And then, of course, the money's not bad, for the amount of time I'm working. So I'll be like, okay, I can make a little extra few dollars and, whatever. But I don't do it just for the money, honestly. I don't. I mean, I don't like to work for free, obviously, but it's a service that I enjoy doing.
Of course.
I understand. So that's how I kind of try to balance it out. Sometimes it's not always as easy because then things get thrown in. Like I have to fly out to go to Buffalo for a film fest, and then I can't go with my wife if have anybody watch my daughter. So then it gets a little wonky, but long as it's far few in between. We really make that clear. Like I'm not gonna make that and then my family last. My family is first, and then it goes into my career. And then it goes into those components of that career, because it's all part of the same, isn't it?
Right. Well, exactly. And this is why it took me 6 months to get his attention. You see what I'm talking about? And that's why the other day when my kid was sick, I'm like, he totally gets this. I mean, this stuff happens all the time. And sometimes you just have to do
I didn't even
the
flinch.
thing.
I didn't even flinch. Yeah, I didn't even flinch when you said that. Honestly, I didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
As I was sitting here listening to you, I didn't mean to interject, but I have to tell you, here's another thing. If the Donald Draper thing doesn't work out, I think you should do a cancer patient. I don't know where this stuff comes from, but I'm like, no, and I'm not kidding. I mean, seriously. The reason I say that is, let me just throw this out here. So you folks might know some of the past things he's done. He's been on NYPD Blue. He's done Law and Order. He's done Gotham. He's done the Blue Bloods. You'll notice a trend there with all dramatic scenes. Now, Cancer Patient obviously screams dramatic themes. So does Donald Draper. So one of the things that I talk about on my show, and I think this is significant to mention this, oftentimes an individual will get themselves almost typecast, if you will, and I guess that's the specific term as they use it, which is, does Anthony ever get himself frustrated and say to himself, God, I'm always playing all these dramatic roles all the time, and don't they see that I have versatility? So do you ever find yourself personally, flustered or frustrated and saying, God, I wish I had, I got to play XYZ role. You know what I'm saying? Something that's completely not your norm, but you totally want to try out, but yet nobody will cast you for it. Or has that happened?
No, it has happened. Funny that you're bringing this up. I just was talking to an agent last night. I held a workshop. Oh, I didn't tell you. I also throw workshops for actors. But I did that because it's the school that I used to work at. So I get like the alumni to go meet with industry that I've known. But anyway, this particular agent, we were chatting, and I said, funny enough, I said, when I was doing more TV work last year, I probably made more money than I have in a while. I said, but this year, I focused on 6 independent films, all very, very different roles. I played a grieving father. I played a CEO, sinister governor of a sci-fi thriller. Then I did another sci-fi thriller recently where I played another CEO, but it deals with power of abusive power, sort of what's happening with Weinstein and all of them. And then I also played in a romantic comedy, my first romantic comedy at 50-something years old, where I get the girl.
Oh, my God.
And,
cool.
And that's and then I recently just did a comedy with the same director of that particular one, where I played a very interesting part of a blue-collar superintendent cheese ball, like with the mustache, tattoos, and just all like sex on a stick. I just kind of, and I cracked up. I was like, okay, I'm 50, and I'm playing this now. Oh, why not? So for me, I'm loving this canvas of just starting, fresh and looking different. And then I did another film that was shot in Philly and also in Hong Kong. And it's black and white, and I grayed my hair for that. And it was a very kind of like poetry kind of vibe that I wanted. It was classic, and I just wanted to look different, So, and he's like sort of like God. So I wanted to kind of have like Moses. It's like weird. So I get inspired by just like of what the character is doing, and then I try to make it look that way. But anyway, I got to play a lot of variety. But in TV, they're going to typecast you a lot more.
Oh, right.
I was playing for a long time a lot of cops, and then the cops went away, and then I started playing the detectives because now you're older, and then I started playing the sergeant. And lawyers now. I play a lot of lawyers, which is great. And I remember somebody telling me when I was in my 20s, he said, don't worry about typecast, he said, because when you're about 50, he said, you'll start going in suits. And that's exactly what happened. So now I can wear a suit because there's a little status now with age. And I can play the hotshot lawyers and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. But, I mean, for the most part, I'm not pigeonholed the same way that a few of my Italian-American friends are, because some of them just really, I think, sound and look a certain way that, the business just goes, yep. And with me, I sometimes am a little harder to depict, and it actually works against me because TV, they really want you to be, boom, right on point. And my kind of slant on my work always has been, let me tell the story first and not worry about that. Meaning, why can't an Italian-American be an educated guy in Harvard? You know what I mean? Why can't he be a husband in a healthy environment? It doesn't have to always be a mafia storyline. That's all. And again, I would play a mafia, a mob star. I have played a mob star in Gotham. I don't have a problem with that. I ever judge my characters if I get cast as such. What I definitely try to find is the damaged side to that person. But, so it is interesting that you mentioned this because I just said to this guy last night, this agent, I was like, I've had such a great year in finding versatility. There's a little collage I'm going to send you. I don't know if you ever got to see it when I posted it. A couple of them I posted. But this particular one really shows the different feeling of each film and look. And it's just fun because as an actor, why else be an actor for me? Why else would I want to be an actor? I want to play different parts. But, hey, I got a buddy of mine. He makes a great living as an actor, and he plays a lot of, like, Russian, Slavic killers because he's tall, he's kind of bald, and he's got these piercing eyes, and he's the sweetest guy you ever want to meet. But they go to him always for that because that's what he's, he can easily play, and he does it really well. So there's nothing wrong with that either, I'm like, hell.
Well,
whatever it is to get you working.
That's what I want to ask you is there such a thing as preparing an individual when they're trying to get a role, what would you recommend to them to prevent? Is there such a thing as you as an actor being able to prevent yourself from getting pigeonholed into that pocket? You know what I mean? Is there anything you can do?
Yeah, there's things you can do. I'm from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. I don't know if I mentioned that, but when I first started out, I had a very, very thick New York-y, Brooklynese accent. And had I not probably, studied with different elocution teachers and dialect teachers and voice teachers and all that, I probably would have only stayed in, certain parts because of it.
Sure.
Because, it's limiting then. That's all. It has nothing to do with your talent. I have dear, dear friends who I love and work all the time because they're so who they are and they're good at it and they understand scene work and they understand how to structure a character. But they're going to sound and look a certain way. And that's fine. I have to work on that now. Whenever I go in for a role, I'll make you laugh. My very first Law and Order, because I have 6 I shot over the years. My very, very first one, I just came back from London. So, of course, I was, hello. I thought I was British, and I was trying to keep it all very clean and crisp. And the guy said to me, the director goes, aren't you from New York? Like, what the hell, man? And I said, oh, yeah. He goes, well, can you give me some New York, please? And I was like, all right, give me a minute. And I had to work on it. So I laughed. I just spent all these thousands of dollars that you're telling me I got to go back in. It was just very, very funny. And I think that's great, that I was, that I can always resort to whatever the role needs. And so, yeah, so that's how you can get out of it, And I think it also comes from how you position yourself as an actor. Just look at the name Leonardo DiCaprio, right? That's as Italian as anybody gets, right? I always think of this. And he's never put himself out there as I'm an Italian actor, has he? He never thought of it.
No.
Now, granted, he has blue eyes. He doesn't quite look Italian. I would say he looks more Polish or whatever, or something European. So I don't know. Also your looks. Your looks are your looks. I have an Italian kind of Jewish face. People want to put you in that, and I'm not tall. So, unfortunately, your face will tell a story. When I was a younger actor, I remember there was a show being cast, and I was reading my wife at the time. She was going in for it. And I was like, wow, I would be good in this part. I really get it. So I knew the casting director, so I touched base with her. I was like, hey, you think I can read for this? And she said, oh, no, they're going for a very John F. Kennedy Jr. type. I went, oh.
Oh, my God.
Meaning you don't read like money.
Sure.
You're more blue collar. And I got it. And I didn't get mad. I was disappointed. And I went, oh, interesting. Because in my mind, I think I can play it, But, just visually, this is how they put you, But again, as I got older, now I'm playing guys with money. But the funny thing is the guys I'm playing with money now are not from money. They were made by education or business. They, they started middle class and now they're older and they have money. I don't play somebody who comes from money. So I think about that. Like if I was under on Downton Abbey, who would I play? I wouldn't be in the top notch. I would have been the guy that married the rich daughter who was the horse guy. Teaching her how to ride a horse. That would be me. But yet fit in. You see, So it's all interesting how casting places you and I learned to embrace that, Cindy. Because as an actor you can't fight it. You can't.
Of course.
You can't. If I was to fight it, I wouldn't work.
Well,
there are things I don't go in on. I'm like, why did I get in on that? And then I go, oh, that's why. Okay, now I see. Okay, But then here's the other kicker: if I was to bust loose because a role took me, if a role was to break me out, then the sky's the limit, right? Because now it's not about your type; it's about your name.
Right.
So there are ways to break out of that.
I want to touch this because obviously you're an expert in your field as it relates to teaching this, and of course, obviously being a working actor yourself. One of the things that's out there, and those of us who work in the field already know, of course, there's this very large issue lately with the sexual harassment, and sadly, it's hitting Hollywood left, right, and sideways. And so I'm curious to ask you, because you're someone that's actually working with the opposite sex and working in terms of coaching them, et cetera. Has that changed the game a little bit? Because I know that some of my actor friends have spoken about being more intensely concerned about that issue. Do you know what I mean? Meaning being taken the wrong way, et cetera. Am I making sense?
No. I think this is what I'm thinking, based on what you're saying. I have a lot of young females, for example, that I may be teaching. So, yeah, I'm definitely more, I'm probably aware of if this comes off wrong. So that, I think, is what's coming up in the business, probably more than anything. Right. That people are going to think twice before maybe I'll put an arm around them as I'm walking them out or something. You know what I mean? Not that I would do it because I was looking for something from it, but I might be more cognizant and say, maybe I shouldn't do that. You know, when I worked at NYU, I was a teacher at a studio that was adjunct to their undergrad program. I was very touchy-feely because I was always in a private group setting. I always taught my private classes. And when I would hug somebody goodbye, I actually had the teacher, you know, the lady who ran the place, she said, you really probably shouldn't do that. And I was like, oh, I never even thought of that, you know. So then that was the first time it hit me, like, oh, I got to be careful of that because you don't know how that's going to be read. So I think that's probably happening more, is that you're going to see more men and women, for that matter, you know, being just a little bit more maybe on guard. I think more storylines are going to come out because of it. You know, Kill Al, this film that I just shot where I played somebody who, you know, assaults someone because he can, was actually written before all this came out. And so it's so timely. Yeah, we had shot that like the week Harvey Weinstein's first case blew up. And we just looked at each other going, is that weird? Because I actually had to go into that mindset of like this power thing that you can, it was really creepy. It was really, really creepy. And I just thought, wow. So I think it's a good story, and many good stories, on how people abuse power. So, yeah, I think we're going to see more stories about it. I think we're going to see a hell of a lot more thoughtful things come from it. I don't know if it's all going to change like immediately, but I'm hoping. For the sake of we don't lose more actors that I admire, it's killing it.
Right. I agree with you.
I mean, honestly, Kevin Spacey was like a bummer.
Right.
That was a real bummer.
Oh, my God. So many.
I revered. Yeah, I revered him and Hoffman like nobody's business. If you look at my Dub Smashers, that's all Kevin Spacey and Pacino and Hoffman, and you know, and maybe it was a time, you know, who knows, but no one has that right, you know, to power.
I agree with you 100%, and it's just
that's a whole other story.
These things should be happening. Well, exactly. Now, before we get to your future work, I wanted to mention these other two things, because it's not like he doesn't have anything to do already. But the two other things, of course, is you were the founder and artistic director of Breakthrough Studios, and of course, you're on the faculty of New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. So are you still active in both of those, which I presume that you are, and how the hell do you find time for that? I mean, hello?
No, I let go of Breakthrough Studios.
You did?
That was the studio that I was building. Yeah. And that was born out of because I had become a dad. I literally panicked and said, I need to make some, you know, income here, and what can I do? And I wanted to help actors. I always love helping. I like to give information, and I like to guide. I guess that's something that just innately I like doing. And so I figured, all right, let's do that. When New York City skyrocketed their rents, on top of we had that, you know, horrendous 2009 bust, I lost a lot of money, and I had to close it in 2011, sadly. which wasn't the worst thing, actually, because it was monopolizing too much of my time, and I wasn't acting nearly enough. So I always think the universe takes care of that, and I just accepted it, and I said, okay, I'm gonna revamp, and I'm gonna downsize. So I downsized where I can just teach privately and do some photography, and that was it. And then the school, the New York Conservatory, brought me on as a part-time teacher, two or three classes a week, which wasn't a lot. And then they brought me on as their evening person who was going to handle all their part-time programs and workshops. And then that kind of didn't take off. So I was only kept really to do the workshops. So I'm actually not teaching there anymore because then I got really busy. And part of working in a conservatory program is that they don't want you to not have the consistency in the classroom. So I was missing classes due to work. So we came to a nice understanding, and I was like, yep, that's cool. And but they keep me there to teach my privates, which has been really nice. And so I run from them, and I'm also involved in their alumni, workshops, and that's it. So I'm trying not to go underwater because, as I said, me being a full-time actor is my first priority. Always. Yeah. But yeah, Breakthrough was amazing. I learned. Can I just tell you really quickly what I learned about Breakthrough Studios? First off, I had over probably 4,000 workshops that I held there over almost 10 years. So every month we were doing 20 to 30 workshops with agents and casting directors. So by default, funny enough, I was moderating them. Sort of like what you do, right, when you're interviewing. So I would moderate them and sit through the workshops and listen to what they were saying. So I ended up getting an education without even thinking I was doing that. So I learned a lot about the business of acting, and then that's how that transpired into photography and how that talk with actors from a business cohesiveness rather than just technique. So that really was the best take away from owning that business, I have to say. Sure. And I got kind of well known, I guess, with New York actors because at that time, I was one of the hubs that they would go through a lot. So that was always nice when you walk into an audition and 2 or 3 people there. That's always a nice feeling. When people say, yeah, I know Grasso because he had these cool things. Or if somebody tells me, hey, I booked a job through your studio or I got an agent because of your studio, that always makes me happy. I'm like, that's awesome. That's what it should be. Awesome. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So sadly it went, but it was okay.
I understand.
So you're looking me up.
That brings us. That brings you to your acting. Now you have done 2 films.
Yeah, you're bringing me to acting. Yeah.
You have done 2 films with 2 of my favorite people in the entire world. Obviously, Date with a Narcissist and The Fifth Borough, because I wasn't aware that you were working with Steve, actually. That kind of surprised me because I didn't know you had been together before. I love him. He is one of my favorite people in the world.
He's awesome. Steve is so cool because I kept seeing him on my Facebook feeds, and I was like, this guy knows everybody I know. This is so weird.
I know, right?
And I never met him. And then and I worked with Deborah Twist on A Beautiful Distraction, which, like I said, is getting picked up for 2 more episodes in January. She did Confidence Game with him. I went to Soho Film Fest because she was in it. And while I'm there, he comes walking in, and we looked at each other. He knew me from Facebook, so we were like, I feel like I know you, and we gave each other a big hug. So then he signed with my manager at the time. I'm no longer with her, but I was with this manager that I said, you should reach out to her, man. She'd like you. So he did, and they signed. And then he was doing Fifth Borough. He kept telling me about it. But he was really interested in me doing his spots. And I was like, well, I'm an actor. You know that. And he was like, I don't think he actually saw me first as an actor between you and I. I think he really just thought of me as a photographer. So that's always, like, again, my thing about you can change people's perception of you, whether it's type or whether it's what you do. So I was like, no, actually, I'm an actor first. I'm an actor first. But I love to do your photos, and I did his photos, and we became friendly, and then he did The Fifth Borough. He had almost pre-cast at that point, so I ended up playing, and funny, I played the only one who was a legit guy. He wasn't a gangster or a bad guy. He was He was a DA, so that was nice. I was playing an ADA. So yeah, so that's Steve's story with him, and then Deborah. I brought in as a guest because I heard about her about 2 years ago at the school that I was teaching at the time, on the New York Conservatory, and we just hit it off. And I was like, wow, I'd love to work with you one day. And then she and I just kept crossing paths through friends who knew her and worked with her. And then a film I did last year called The Last Night. Last Night.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Where I played the actor leaving the biz, and he kind of goes on this journey. It's a beautiful little short. I was really proud of that. And she said, you should put it in my film fest. So I told the director, and sure enough, we did. And then we got even tighter. We just really chatted a lot, and I know her husband. And then she said, hey, do you want this part as an agent? And I said, yeah. I always wanted to do an Ari Gold kind of character, like Entourage. Why not? High power, just, full of octane, gas, just, rah. And I did. And it was a blast. It was like, a good comedic role for me. And she and I now want to do another film together. We're just waiting on some money. But, yeah,
oh, cool.
She's cool. And she's a dear, dear lady. I really like her.
Oh, my God, yes. She is. Now, you have to tell the audience what they're both about, and you have to tell them what status they're in right now, meaning Date with a Narcissist and The Fifth Borough. Where are they at? Can people see them? When are they coming out, et cetera? Now, give them a synopsis of the films themselves.
I don't think Date with a Narcissist right now. I think it's still in post. So she's playing with that, and she wants to add a few different scenes in there. So that can take another, 5-6 months.
Right.
And then, it'll be probably at a local film fest, maybe your film fest next year. And then there's The Fifth Borough. I think, from what I haven't actually heard from Stephen a bit, but I think there's a lot of people looking at it from Netflix to Amazon and that kind of stuff as a possible pickup for a series. So if that gets picked up, they'll definitely be able to see it. It's a good story. It's basically a guy who kind of has to go into the dark, side of things, with people that you wouldn't want to consort with, because he has to supply. He has a daughter that has cancer, and so it's a nice story. And then, of course, all these kind of characters, very Soprano-esque. And it takes place in Staten Island, so it's an interesting take on it. Instead of it being Jersey, it's Staten Island, so it's a little different. Staten Island has a real look of its own. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Oh, my God, yes.
I have a brother.
Oh, my God,
I have a brother who lives there. But it has such a look. Because like a house can be like a bungalow, and then there'll be a mansion right next to it. It's like, doesn't make sense.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's like crazy.
It's just like no rhyme or reason, Yeah.
Exactly. It's very cool. So now the upcoming projects. First of all, we want to talk about Chicago because you're only 90 miles away from me. So I'm guessing because I'm an actor I can't attend, or can I just come down and say, hi, here I am, because that's only like an hour away from me. Here in Wisconsin. I'm like, oh, my God.
I could get you to come. I mean, I can ask the chair if you want to sit on my master class there. I'm doing it for 5 days in
That would be cool. That would be awesome.
Oh, my God, that would
I would
be
love
amazing.
To
and then you can even interview her. You can put her on the radio. And it's
that would be
tool.
awesome. We should do that.
Yeah, I can talk to her about that. That might be nice,
Now, can the outside people enroll in this, or is this automatically set up for you? Meaning that if people are listening today, can they do this?
Not in Chicago, because it's part of Rockford University. I mean,
That's what I thought. Okay.
To teach their undergrad program, But
okay, gotcha.
You definitely can. And then if you ever wanted to facilitate a private thing, I would come out. So you can do something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize you were that close to Chicago.
Oh yeah, I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so that's like, maybe hour and 20 minutes from me. So that's not that far. So like I see David Stillman there, and like some of my friends that'll come. Kieran was here. Deborah's actor. He was here singing in Middleton. That was like an hour and a half away. So yeah, I try to catch my friends not just in New York, because I'm still here in Wisconsin for like 2 years.
Yeah,
I didn't get to go
about
but he was here.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Yeah,
he's another one that's like
he's great.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
So now we have your lips are sealed on the Netflix series. Can we mention that? Can we say anything about that?
You can mention it, but I can't talk about what the project is. But I can talk about it.
That's what I thought.
It's just because I had to sign an NDA.
I'm sure you did, yeah.
So all I can say is this. It's a recurring 2 episodes on a really nice series. Well done, beautifully acted, and it's Netflix. So you'll definitely be able to see it in January. Yeah.
Oh, my God, this is exciting. Okay. And Rabbit meets Rabbit Most Likely. I love
Most
that
Likely.
title. Rabbit Most Likely.
Okay,
most
that's
likely.
a cool one.
Yeah.
Rabbit Most Likely was the one that's in black and white where I grade my hair for it because it's basically a very esoteric storyline. It's very Pinter. I don't know if you know Harold Pinter and those guys, those plays, where it's dealing with like Waiting for Godot. It's dealing with I'm this like psychic guy that's talking to the lead actor, and I'm in a white room, and it's really far out, and you don't know where I am, what I'm doing, and you find out at the end that he ends up in the white room that I've been talking to him. So it's almost like if I'm dead, and he may be dead, and he's finding his way because he can't find his identity. It's a really cool story. So right now he's in post for that.
Okay.
And the same director, this is the best caveat of the story, 22 years ago, we all flew out to Hong Kong. He flew us out to do a film called The Pigeon Egg Strategy, which is also a very esoteric black and white story. That's this director. He's just really interesting, and he likes really obscure kind of writing, and it's good banter. It's almost like Mammoth. It goes, back and forth. You think you talk fast?
Okay.
Even fast. So what happened was I haven't heard from him in over 15 years, and I happened to post that we had our 20th anniversary for Sundance. We were there in 98.
Okay.
And one of the actors was like, "Hey, I'm in touch with the director. We should all say hi. Maybe we can get together." So we all did that, and with that, the director said, "I have another script that I think I can gather all of you. We'll do like not like a reduc, of Pigeon Egg, but it'll be the same ensemble, gathering the same cast." So it was really a cool concept, and the look and feel would be very similar. So we were like, "Yeah, I'm on board. So we all got hired. I was originally flying to Hong Kong to do it. He already had everything was all set for me in Hong Kong, which would have been fun to go back. But it was the dead of August. I wasn't thrilled. It's hot as hell there. So something happened where the calendar got screwy with their shooting. Anyway, they ended up keeping me and 2 other actors to shoot here because I was interior. I didn't need to be in Hong Kong. So I was happy with that because I didn't lose money, and I would have been out there for over 2 weeks. And that's all my classes I would have had to put on hold. And it was paying, but it wasn't paying what I would normally make if it was a feature. I mean, it was a feature, but not like a major motion picture feature. So it was like a smaller budget.
No,
anyway, so we shot it in Philly. But how cool is that all, 20 years later, the same actors. So it was really kind of neat.
That is
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then
we have Any Given Tuesday. Any Given Tuesday, not like Any Given Sunday.
You know, it's funny. I always make the mistake, and I say Any Given Sunday all the time. No, I actually said to the director, "Why did you name Any Given Tuesday?" He said, "Because Tuesday's the most overlooked day of the week." And that's true, isn't it?
Really?
We always talk about Wednesday as the hump day, Friday's the weekend, Thursday's like almost the weekend, but Tuesday, not much. So he had this idea that this is a normal story of a dad on a little trip with his son, and tragic strikes. And the whole movie is about the father finding forgiveness within himself. It was the most hardest thing. I mean, you want to talk about how do you do that? That was rough. I had to cry for hours. I felt like somebody beat the hell out of me. I was like, I need a drink.
Oh my God!
Like when you've been crying for hours, your eyes are like,
yay!
Yeah, no, it wasn't pleasant, and it was the first night I got there. So I was like, are you kidding me? We're doing the big scene tonight. I was like, oh. But it was awesome, and this crew was insanely talented. And this young kid, Henry Grenier, he's a wonderful director. He's going to go places. He's in L.A. right now. It's in post as well. I have a rough cut of it. I can always let you peek at it. It's beautiful. It really is just beautiful. It was my Manchester by the Sea, I call it. That's exactly what the character was based on. Where he's just, yeah. And what was that?
Millwood Drive is the other thing. You've got Millwood Drive, and is that in post-production too?
No, that's in actually pre-production. We haven't even shot it yet. I met director-writer Jenna Riley. She was actually at Deborah Markowitz's screening live of a film that she did that was really good. About 2 films before mine screened the last night.
Okay.
And when we were leaving, we were chatting. She said, "I really like your work." I was like, "Oh, thank you." Same here. We just kind of shared each other's Facebook pages. With that, there was a film that she was writing, and she said, "I'd like you to come and audition for it." So I went and auditioned, and she offered me the role like a couple of days later. And it's a cool story. It's kind of a twisty love story where this loner goes to help this young lady, and he ends up kind of kidnapping her. But he wants her just to fall in love with him. It's not like he wants to hurt her or kill her, but you don't know that. And it's interesting. It's an interesting. I loved it. It's like a play on film. It has a vibe of like a kind of like a Sam Shepard play. It's just really got a nice, cool vibe on it. So I was like, yeah. And this one I'm going to look really different. I'm going to go very, Southern looking. Longer hair, beard.
Oh my God.
Tattoos, and just look really, really different. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about that. Yeah. And there's a film called Poughkeepsie. I don't know if you saw that one. Did you see Poughkeepsie?
No.
Okay. So Poughkeepsie is a film I shot over a year ago.
Okay.
And this director is killing it. He's right now. He just wrote a book that got picked up into a feature. So he's in good hands of many, many, many influential filmmakers. With that, he really took his time with this. It's a beautiful story about Alzheimer's and Alzheimer's. I can't say it right. And I played the younger self of the guy whose health is failing, and he's going back in time to kind of change it, the things that he would have liked to have changed and regretted. So it was a really beautifully shot film, and it's finally finished. He did finally a picture lock on it, and he just submitted it. So we're waiting on Sundance. A few other films that I have already got told that they weren't. Yeah, so if this makes Sundance, you'll hear. But we don't know. I mean, it's a tough one. It's a long shot. Sundance is not easy to get in. They get over 53,000 films now or something like that. So
right, I know.
It's pretty hard. Yeah. But it's a beautiful story, and my work in this one is not a corporate mogul. He's kind of every guy with a lot of demons of, marital issues, and it's good. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. And when I left that audition in Manhattan, I remember I think I said something. I normally don't say anything about audition generally on Facebook, but I said, wow, I just left a little bit of my soul in that room, because it was very emotional.
Oh,
and
that's so cool.
And then I ended up booking it, and I thought, wow, that's cool, because very, very rarely you get a role where you can sink your teeth into. So that was fun. So so we'll see what happens with that. I have a good feeling about it, though. He's also putting it in Tribeca, so I'm hoping one of those will bite. But, yeah, that would be amazing.
Love that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at I could literally spend the next 2 hours of my life talking to you. We've been on this for 90 minutes. How cool is that?
Are we 90 minutes?
That's so cool. Yes. Can you believe it? Seriously, we've been talking for 90 minutes.
Are you
How wild is
sure?
that?
That's not nice.
Well, they tell me that I'm easy to talk to. They say that, so that's kind of
cool.
Well,
yeah, you got a lot of questions. Very. Yeah, that is long. Okay.
Well, I try to do my job.
I didn't even know.
I can't act, but you don't pay attention to that, because when you're comfortable, these things happen. So now I have 3 business things to do before we wrap the show up, and then I'll let you get on to your day, because I have to cast some people myself, actually, and set up some things and go to the doctor and get children.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to read off this list, and when I get done, let me know if I've missed anything. These are all the ways to find him. This is Anthony Robert Grasso, and his last name is spelled Grasso to anybody that's listening in. For the majority of the things we've covered today, it's on the website anthonygrasso.net. He is also on the following. He has an IMDb profile, a Facebook personal page. He's on Vimeo, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and YouTube. His his Instagram is ARGRASSO, and his Twitter handle is @AnthonyGrasso28. Any other places to find
That's all right. That's perfect.
Oh, God, I got it all correct. That's
me.
awesome. Now,
got
a couple
right.
business things. After about 2 hours, this show will be archived, and what will happen is I'll send you both the Blog Talk Radio interview itself, and then I upload them to YouTube, so this way they're in 2 different places so that you know that. So obviously this was done live, but then, of course, we archive it, so anybody can go all year round and listen to you and I talk for over 90 minutes. So that's
You're going to send
awesome,
the link to me, right? So I can have people
Yeah, I'll
listen.
send you both links. The YouTube link so that people can listen there, and then the other one as far as that goes. Now, on this show, we always do 2 final things. I get to tell you what I think of you, but before I do that, and I do that because it's not scripted. That's the only part that's not scripted, so I get a chance to tell you what I think of you, and most people who've never met you will know this. But more importantly, we always have surprises on my show. So this is your surprise, Anthony. I'm in awe of your talent, and I probably can't offer you anything because everyone is always offering you things all the time. But the one thing that I would like from you, besides the fact that he's in my calendar. I can't believe you didn't know that, but yes, legit, all the finalists and winners from my film festival are put in my calendar that's coming out this year. So your friends and family can actually see you in a calendar, like literally can see you, your castmates, and my review, and all your social media links in this lovely little calendar. So I'm so excited about that. So legit will be in there. So that's awesome. And I'll send you details on that. But one of the things I got to thinking about, if I begged and I pleaded with you long and hard enough, because they've all been pestering me about doing another film festival, so I said yes. I would love it if one of the days of the festival that you would come and you would actually do an actors forum, if you will, whether it's teaching them, talking to them, et cetera, where it would just be you, direct one-on-one with various actors, et cetera, and kind of passing on some of your tutelage and knowledge. I would find that extremely helpful, along with the audition. I don't know if you've ever seen the James Morrison film where all the Hollywood actors are on there talking about auditioning. I think it's called Stepping Out.
Yeah.
Don't quote me. I have to look. I'm going to show that film because he's going to let me. So I thought you would be a great after effect to that, meaning showing that first of all, and then who better to have than a master like yourself, or maybe even you and John Gallagher paired up together. I thought about that.
Okay, I was.
You can think about it. You have months and months.
Give me a date and time, and I'm there.
Well, yeah, I have to find a date first because we're just finishing up the last one. So it's going to be a little while, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
But when that time comes, just be
please let your wife know.
Thank you, Cindy. I'd be honored.
Oh, of course. And tell your wife that she needs to get a hold of me because if we want to even try to cast her in my film, I have to audition her and do all that technical stuff because I can't just say, well, she's your wife, so I can do that. So please. And Diane, thank you so much. If you get a chance to listen to this, thank you so much for helping me and giving me all this great introspect about your husband. I appreciate it very much. And thank you for friending me, by the way. So this is the last part, which is I get to say, I get to tell you what I think of you. And I'm going to try to do this without crying because you make me really super nervous, and then I cry when I get nervous. So I'm going to try to do this as best as I can. I am. I'm funny looking. Thanks, so. So these are my thoughts and impressions, folks, of Anthony. If you've never had a chance to meet him, you probably wouldn't know some of the things that I'm going to tell you. But this is the reason why you should support him and his work and absolutely everything he does. Obviously, of course, I've tried to get his attention for 6 months. You can see it took that long to get it. But this is what I did find out in creeping on him, watching him, talking to his friends, and researching him. The very first time he walked into a room to meet me, I would have to say he's probably one of only 5 people in New York City that made me nervous to the point where I wanted to leave the room. He didn't know that at the time, and it was my festival, so I couldn't leave. But what I did notice was he is a person by which other people gravitate to, by his gravite, his sense of gentlemanly charm and affection and affinity for making you feel like you're the most special person in the room all of the time. He grabs your attention without doing anything but standing there, which is not a quality that every actor has. It's not a quality every person has. I have to tell you that everything that comes out of his mouth is 100% sincere and sweet and succinct and to the point in the most loving fashion. There is nothing about him that is bullshit or fake or phony, and that's what I absolutely love. In this industry of people that we meet and we congregate with and we talk to all the time, there's a whole lot of finessing and handshaking and, oh, we love you and da-da-da-da-da. But he's a man that does what he says he's going to do. He's a follow-through gentleman, and that's one of the things I admire Further, in the body of his work, when I was watching all the various roles, it's exactly what leads me right back to the Mad Men thing. He's able to convince you that you want to buy shit on a shingle. He's able to convince you that, yes, you're the most attractive person in the room, you're the smartest person in the room, and most importantly, you're the most wanted and appreciated person there. He's genuine and he's relatable. His acting is above notch because he's above notch. One of the main reasons that you should watch everything that he does is because he stands out among his peers, not because he's any better or because he's any worse, but because of the fact that he is completely naked in the best sense all of the time. I wholly admire you as a person and as a professional. I am very honored to know you. I'm even more blessed to call you my friend. And if there's anything I can do to help you in the future, know that I will. That's what I think of you.
I gotta say, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said. Thank you.
Why does everybody say that? They're always like, you're so nice. And I'm like, but I'm so honest. It's honest, and you deserve to hear those things.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
So give it some thought on the whole thing.
Recently, I'm learning to accept things when people give me a compliment. So I'm going to say thank you. Thank you.
See,
that's very
thank you.
nice.
I appreciate that. Now you're free to go, sir. You've done your duty, and go enjoy your day. I'm going to go work and do my... Anytime. Stay in touch, my dear. I'll see you when I come back to the Big Apple.
Absolutely, and then, like you said, when that dates get locked down or at least thought about, please, I'm there.
I'll let you know.
I'd love to do that.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that so much.
You got
Thank
me.
you, my dear friend.
Yeah. And
sounds wonderful. Have a good weekend.
All right, dear. Thank you so much.
Dear.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tell me he wasn't wonderful, right? It's Anthony Robert Grasso. He is on Facebook, IMDb, Vimeo, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and YouTube. His Twitter is @AnthonyGrasso28. His Instagram is ARGrasso, and the website is anthonygrasso.net. Big, huge thanks to Anthony, to Diane, and everyone listening in. I am now officially off for the weekend on radio, and obviously I'll be back on Monday with Scientology expert Chris Stapleton, and that will be at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. You guys have a great weekend, and take care.
Napa know-how.
A Napa guy knows more isn't always better, unless we're talking about full-size vans. These beasts do more than get you from A to B. They have so much space a man can live in it. With shag carpeting, waterbed, and a sweet lava lamp, these mobile abodes have all the comforts of home. With quality parts and plenty of Napa know-how, you can keep the original tiny house running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
The open enrollment period for health insurance will only run November 1st to December 15th, so make sure you are covered for 2018. Children's Community Health Plan, an affiliate of Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, offers Together with CCHP, a local health insurance plan for individuals and families living in Southeast Wisconsin. With our plans, you'll get access to high-quality health care from a broad provider network, and we offer plans for those with qualifying health savings accounts. Learn more at togethercchp.org.